Hey, Tim Sykes here, and I have a great video lesson today. There are so many plays right now. I had nearly 20 stocks on my watch list today, okay? When that happens, you know that there are a lot of good plays. I made nearly $2,000 on AVEO today, following up on my nearly $2,000 profit yesterday. $2,000 a day keeps the real job away. I know that, people who have made millions of dollars like me should make more. For whatever reason, I really find a groove with making roughly $2,000 a day. I have several video lessons on it. I'll link this video lesson, how to make $2,000 per day, right under this video. I have literally hundreds of video lessons where I've made, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500. And it doesn't really matter my account size. That's just, I don't know, it's a sweet spot for me. So if you understand that by the end of this video lesson, I want you to just leave a comment saying 2K a day, because that's really, I think, very good for most people. Obviously, there are some people who want more, but if you're okay with making 2K a day, type it in, 2K per day. Leave that comment only if you understand this video lesson by the time I finish. I should also mention a lot of you guys are messaging me about the conference. Guys, we are 100% sold out. This is not a trick. 50 or 100 seats are not going to open up. I warned you literally dozens of times in blog posts, tweets, video lessons. This is the first time that we've sold out 2 months plus in advance of the conference. So I think some people are a little surprised, but I'm telling you, if you procrastinate in this game, you will not win. And as I create more and more millionaire students, people are seeing, wait a minute, this shit is real. And not just millionaire students, six-figure students too. This is the single best opportunity to trade live with me and all my top students. So I'm excited to meet many of you. If by chance you guys still want access, maybe via live stream, we're trying to work it out, send an email to admin@timothysykes.com and we'll put you on the list. I can't even guarantee it yet. Because this year is our 10th annual conference. It's going to be pretty crazy. I want to focus on the people who are live, and I'm looking forward to meeting many of you. But let's talk about this trade where I made nearly $2,000 and how to make $2,000 per day. Oh, I should also congratulate Castillo Trading because he was in the same trade. He actually had slightly better executions than me. But I focus on this tweet because just remember this for a second. I'll get back to this in a second. But I love the fact that he said, probably leaving a lot on the table, but I didn't want to get greedy. Timothy Sykes, thanks, coach. And AVEO is the, overnight bouncer. I gave a trading challenge webinar. All you challenge students know that 270 was the key level, okay? 270 was support back here. It was resistance here, and it was resistance into yesterday morning's spike. It broke 270 this morning quite nicely. It went up a few times over 270. Actually, after hours yesterday, it got up to 275. And then pre-market today, it got all the way up to 283. So it was a nice breakout. I was buying it on the dip in here in the 260 area. So it just kept uptrending, kept uptrending. This is not that volatile of a stock though. So in my watch list, in my plan, okay, 280, 290 max. I was not saying, oh, this is definitely going to go to the threes. Some people thought that. I like to play things safe. So when I'm dip buying, especially a first green day on a stock like this, I'm not aiming for the stars. I'm aiming for singles, okay? And this is what you guys have to learn to take. And this is why I'm so proud of people like Castillo Trading. He wanted to hold longer, okay? He said, probably leaving a lot on the table, but I didn't want to get greedy. And he's remembering the lessons that I've taught him, and I wish more of you guys would do that, because as it turned out, he did not leave any on the table. In fact, this was near best case scenario. And so he learned to take profits, he learned to take a single, he learned to deal with disappointment. This is a key part of my success. This is a key for all of you guys trading these stocks, not to go for home runs. And I know sometimes, we do sell too soon. Oftentimes I sell way too soon and I make 10, 20 cents a share and then the stock goes up 50 cents or $1. And a lot of over-aggressive gunslingers are like, oh, Sykes, you're such a wuss. Yes, I am a wuss. And this trade proves it because I was selling, near my goals at 280. I would have loved to see it to go to 290s, but the stock told me through price action several times, okay? After hours yesterday got to 275, came back down. Pre-market it got to 280, came back down. Then 283, came back down. Then 280. 280-ish, I mean, this isn't a perfect triple top, but this is a near triple top, okay? And you have to be very careful when a stock is basically trying to tell you, hey, this is the top of the range. And it's not an exact science. But again, when I'm buying it, near 260 and I'm selling it near 280, guess what? That opens the door to my profit. No, not quite $2,000, not exactly $2,000, but good enough, okay? And this one is a pretty good trade on my behalf, making less than 10%, so not as much as I wanted, but at the same time recognizing that 280 was topish. And even right now, if let's say I had fallen asleep and woken up, 2 hours, 3 hours into the trading day, I'm down, 2 or 3 cents, 4 cents a share from my entry. So when there's roughly 20 cents a share of upside and like 4 or 5 cents a share of downside, that's pretty good risk reward. It's not the most volatile play. In fact, AEZS was much better. AEZS was a nice dip buy. And I did not think that this one would actually spike on day 2, but there's a lot of wannabe shorts in this game right now because a lot of people think, oh, it's just so easy, just short any penny stock that goes up. And so these over-aggressive shorts create these squeezes. And it's amazing to me that they just don't learn. I mean, every single penny stock that goes up, for a day or 2 or 3 on minor news, all these shorts, they're like, it blows my mind. They're risking blowing up. Their, stress levels are off the chart. Their potential losses are off the chart. And they just keep trying to add and add and add to their positions higher. And guess what? Sometimes it does come down. But that is not a recipe for success. Because if you remember, DRYS a few months ago went from the few dollars a share to over $100 a share. So short squeezes are very scary. AEZS was a nice bounce. Congrats to dip buyers. Probably the best dip buy was ZN. I was buying this earlier in the week. Where was it? 420-ish, right in here. I was a day early. And this is another thing I really re-emphasized on the webinar last night. Sometimes I'm just going to be a little early or a little late. This is not an exact science. That doesn't make me angry the next day. When I'm buying this here at 420 or 430-ish and I'm selling into the 420s for a small loss, and then the next day it goes up to 480, and then the next day it's 5. So had I held the day, I would make $1 a share. I was on the right track, okay? This is not an exact science. So the fact that it bounced the day after, that makes me feel rather good. AVEO, if you remember, I was dip buying it right in here, thinking that 240 support was holding. And it turns out there was one more day of dropping. 230 support was the main key, and then it spiked up. So AVEO, I actually had a small loss on this one too. But small losses are okay. Now you see me rebound with nearly $2,000. Just like on yesterday, making nearly $2,000, making roughly 20% on MYSZ. And MYSZ, I sold a little too soon in the 160s. It got up to the 170s, and some people were like, oh, Tim, I can't believe you sold. I took the meat of the move from roughly 130 to the 160s. This is pretty damn good. This was a speculative piece of crap news, but this stock has spiked in the past, specifically morning spiked, and I made my nearly $2,000. So understanding what works for you, understanding the sweet spot of these stocks is really good. And I got to congratulate a few other, there's so many students, I'm sorry, I'm overwhelmed. But here's a few that I saw in chat. Paul Delgado nailed the AEZS bounce, 228 to 302. And then Steve Ledesma made 1,000 plus on AEZS. And I know there are literally hundreds of you to congratulate. I'm sorry, I'm just focused on my own trades and making my roughly 2K a day. MYSZ, I sold rather well. AVEO, I sold rather well. ZN, I sold too soon. So I'm not perfect, but as long as I'm on the right track and I'm following patterns that work more times than not, and when I'm wrong, I cut losses quickly, that's how more times than not I make my 2K a day. If you look at my recent trades, okay, 2K, small gain, 400, 200, and then these were the losses. I lost 300 and I lost 100. All it takes is one $2,000 gain to wipe out the small losses. But the key is that you have to cut the losses. A lot of you guys are afraid that, okay, if you're in the stock and you have a small loss and you're like, well, I still think it's going to bounce, so let me just hold. And guess what? If I had held both these stocks earlier this week, I would have had bigger profits. But you don't know how far down they can go. So I will always cut losses when I'm wrong, and I simply can get back in. I'm not angry that I was, off by a day on both of these. I'm not frustrated by the fact that I had losses when, I could have had gains. Some of you guys message me and I see your comments in chat and you're like, I deserve those gains. I was there. I called it. You don't deserve shit, okay? 90% plus of traders lose money. And it's very important for you to remember these stats because this is a very difficult game. And I've been doing this for literally nearly 20 years now. So when I'm off by a day, literally a day, on both of these dip buys, and then they come back the very next day, am I angry at all? Do you hear any anger in my voice? The answer is no, because I've been on the right track before. I've been close. Sometimes I'm a day early, sometimes I'm a day late, sometimes I'm dead on. This is kind of like a moving target, and it's never going to be an exact target. The target will never stop moving. So you have to stop getting frustrated. You have to stop getting discouraged by small losses. I get some messages from people that are like, oh, I have these small losses. I'm so discouraged. I don't even want to study anymore. Because you learn to cut losses quickly and now you have small losses, you're going to hurt yourself in your future by not studying? That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Small losses are part of the game. They're part of your journey, okay? And I don't look badly upon these, especially when I was dead on right the very next day on both of them. So I use that knowledge. I say, okay, I was a little too early. Maybe next time I'll wait for a few more signs of bottoming. But I am encouraged by small losses because A, I stuck to my plan. I was disciplined. I didn't let these losses, turn into any potential big disaster, even though in both these cases, there was no disaster to be averted. But in some cases, there is. So I'm not going to get undisciplined. I'm going to always cut losses. And then, more importantly, the best lesson that you can take away from this, aside from these small gains, one trade, either MYSZ or AVEO, wiped away all of the small losses. Because I keep the losses small and because I have a habit of making $2,000 a day, I know that my account will grow over time, rather gradually. And it's not a perfect science. It's not guaranteed. I'm not like, oh, I'm definitely going to make $1 million every year. It's a process. You don't know which trades that you take are going to be, $2,000 winners. You have an idea, both of these, AVEO, that was a dip buy. The time before this on AVEO, that was a dip buy also. ZN was a dip buy. And both of these, kept going. ZN actually is a very nice bouncer, okay? And it's continuing the uptrend rather perfectly. I was simply a day too early. AVEO, I was simply a day too early. But today, I absolutely nailed it. MYSZ, I didn't really expect it to last because every spike that it's had in the past few months has failed. And yet, every spike in the past that it's had has also happened near the market open. So history repeats itself. Not exactly, not in a perfect science kind of way that we all want, but the same kinds of patterns happen. The same kinds of price action happen again and again. And frankly, AEZS, guess what? The news is minor. It doesn't deserve to be up this much. It has a terrible long-term chart. It has a bad sushi gap down. But the reason why this thing keeps going is because so many over-aggressive shorts shorted too soon, and now they're squeezing each other. And then they like to complain, oh, the pumpers, oh, the market is so unfair. You dumb fucking over-aggressive short sellers. You're the reason why this stock is up. You all crowded each other and you all shorted, and then as it kept going to cut your losses, you had to buy to cover and you created the squeeze. So trust me, I've seen short selling, I've seen going long, I do both. But right now I think that this market clearly leads to favoring longs. AEZS, will probably tank in the next few days. I would not chase it now, but it was a nice short squeeze while it lasted. ZN, I don't know how much further this has to go, but the bounce was nice. AVEO has already now topped at 270-ish, 2 days in a row, so I would not be long, but I took a single. 2K a day. This is your goal. I'm going to link this, and again, if you understand what I'm saying in this video lesson, go for singles, not home runs. Leave a comment saying 2K a day, and let's see, what 2K a day really adds up to over time. Thank you.